Hey guys, Vazzy back here, and in today's video we are going to be testing if the consistency stat matters for goaltending. This is something I've wondered for quite a long time. You can have it set from 0 to 2, so we're going to be doing a different variety of experiments with this stat today to see if it actually matters in game. So let me introduce you guys to the first of 3 created players for this video. This is Zero Consistency. All these goaltenders are going to be exactly the same except for one difference that you guys will see here. Again, there's just all his basic info. When it comes to the stats, high franchise, 99 overall. The only difference is going to be the consistency is set out of 0 out of 2 for this player, and X factors, they're all going to have none for this test. So that's the first player. Let us look at the second player. So from 0 consistency to 1 consistency. Again, this guy is in an exact carbon copy of the first created player that we had. Height, weight, date of birth, everything will remain exactly the same. Only difference is he will have a 1 out of 2 for the goaltender consistency. This is what most goalies in the game just default have their rating set at, so we will see how it affects the sim. And then once again, no X factors for this player. Then one more player we have to meet before we can start today's test. And then lastly, we have 2 consistency, and I think you guys can guess basically what this player is all about. Again, another carbon copy of the first 2. The only difference will be that he has the 2 out of 2 for consistency when it comes to goaltending. When it comes to 2 out of 2 just for base goalies in game, I don't know if you actually ever see this. It's really only 1 out of 2s, so I am very curious to see if 2 out of 2 will actually make a difference and see if he performs better. Once again, no X factors at all for this experiment. So there's an introduction to our players. Let us jump into franchise mode and see how this all works. A couple of things I did just want to mention here when it comes to settings before we get going. Injuries will be off, rosters, everything will remain the same. Same with auto rotate goalies, that'll be off. The autosave will go off when I get into franchise mode itself, and we'll keep reloading the same save file, so we'll get the same head coach and everything like that. And then attribute effects will be set at 9 out of 10 for this experiment. Alright, so for this experiment, we'll be using the Florida Panthers as our team. I just randomly assigned our guys to this squad. Take a look at the lines and everything. They will remain the same. You'll have the same chemistry, same coach for every season that we sim here. Like I said, we'll just be reloading the same save file. And then goaltending. This is the big thing that we are here to test today. So 0 consistency will get the first 2 seasons of simulation and we will see his numbers. Once that is done, we will go to the scratch players and we will substitute in 1 consistency. Then from there we'll do the same thing with 2 and we'll see how all these goalies' numbers look. I have decided we are just going to do 2 seasons of simulation for each goalie. It's not the biggest sample size, but it should answer our questions to see if there is any numbers that really stick out to us. With that all being said, I'll meet you guys back at the first year NHL entry draft and we will take a look at some of the numbers. So the first of 6 seasons of simulation have been complete. Now with the NHL entry draft, you will see that our Florida Panthers were Stanley Cup champions in the first year of the sim. Finished out with a record of 53, 20, and 9 for 115 points on the year, 3.71 goals for per game while allowing 2.67 per game. So that is very good numbers. I'm very happy to see that. Looking at the playoff chart here, if you guys are curious, you can just pause it here, take a look at that. Let's go look at our goalies numbers here. The question of how this guy actually simmed up. And for whatever reason, he doesn't seem to be on the team. No goalies apparently were on the team, so we'll have to go to contracts, I guess, to check out those numbers. I'm assuming it just sent him down. That is kind of weird, but whatever. Let's go to goalies here in contracts and see how our goaltender played. So yeah, it must have just sent him down to the AHL. So 0 consistency, played all 82 games. Obviously the record would be the same as the team, 53, 20, and 9, 7 shutouts, 912 save percentage, and a 2.63 goals against average on the season. In playoff numbers, he went 16-4 with 3 shutouts, a .937 save percentage, and a .208 goals against average. Those are some pretty good numbers here, considering it's a 0-2 consistency goaltender, so I don't really know how the other two are going to do, if they can even really do better than that, but yeah, I guess it's something we'll have to find out. One thing I just wanted to check here quickly, did he win the Vezina? Let's go and check here, and yeah, he did, so that's something I definitely want to keep track of here throughout these simulations. So let me reset everything, and I will meet you guys back at the first year NHL entry draft once again. Alright, so the second year of the sim is now done with the 0-2 consistency goaltender. Fortunately, no cup this year for the Florida Panthers. Finished with a record of 49, 27, and 6th there. Third in the division, which is, not too bad. 104 points on the year as a team. 3.32 goals for per game, while allowing 2.72 against per game. So a little bit of a decline in numbers, but overall it's still very, very solid. Take a look at the Vezina here, see if our guy won it once again. Vezina trophy goes to Vazzy this year, so no back-to-back Vezina trophy winners for 0 consistency. Here's a quick look at the playoff tree for you guys here. Unfortunately swept out by the Bruins in this simulation. And then let's go to the contract screen here while we can take a look at the numbers for our goalie on the season. So going over here to the goaltender stats in the system, 0 consistency, still obviously 99 overall high franchise. Finished with a record of 49, 27, and 6, just like the team, a .911 save percentage, and a 2.65 goals against average. So very, very good numbers once again. In the playoffs, he went 0-4 with an .863 and a 4.78 goals against average. Those are rough numbers for sure, with it only being 4 games, not a huge sample size, so don't really blame that on him. That could just be the game right there, but interesting to say the least. So I'm going to reset everything there, and we will start the next season of simulation with the 1 consistency goaltender and see if that makes a difference in the numbers that our goalie will put up. So just to show you guys here, once again, we're back at the start of the 2023-24 NHL season. All the lines, everything will remain exactly the same throughout the simulation. Chemistry, coaching, everything stays the same. Try and make sure there's no extra variables that'll change anything, at least that we can control. Only thing we will be changing is 1 consistency will be in the net for the next 2 seasons. Unfortunately, I can't show it on the screen, but he will be our goalie, and we'll see if he can put up any better numbers. And then once those 2 seasons are done, we'll put in 2 consistency to see if he can build upon that. But with that being said, let me jump ahead to the NHL draft, and we'll take a look at the first year numbers. So the first season now has been simulated with the 1-2 consistency goalie. The Florida Panthers had an amazing year here, finishing with 115 points on the year, 56 wins, 23 losses, and 3 overtime losses. Easily won their division, 6.3 goals for per game, and 2.55 goals against. So again, very good numbers just throughout the team and everything. Take a look and see if our guy won the Vezina. I'm going to guess probably, yeah, and 1 consistency does get his first Vezina trophy here. And also gets the Jennings. I should have been checking that earlier, but they get the Vezina, the good chance they're going to get the Jennings. So look at the playoff tree, unfortunately fell to the Tampa Bay Lightning in 5 games in the second round. And now let's go to the contract screen and we can take a look at this goalie's stats. I am pretty curious to see if this actually does make a difference. With goaltending, I always find it so random, so I guess we'll see here. So 1 consistency, put up a record, obviously 56, 23, and 3, a .916 save percentage, and a 2.49 goals against average. So I don't have all the consolidated numbers from the first guy in front of me, but definitely seems better. 5-5-1 in the postseason, 9-1-4, and a 2.73 in the playoffs. Again, playoff numbers, we're not going to have a big sample size. I'm just going to mainly go off the regular season. But after 1 season, it definitely does seem to be a slight improvement for sure. So, I don't know. We'll see if this actually matters. Let me go sim up 1 more season, and I'll meet you guys once again at the NHL draft. So the second season has now been simulated with this goaltender. Unfortunately, no cup once again for the Panthers, but we had an outstanding regular season, putting up 132 points on the year, 64 wins, 14 losses, 4 overtime losses, averaging over 4 goals a game and only allowing 2.4. So those numbers, just based off that, seem very, very good and much improved. When it comes to awards, I'm assuming, yeah, another Vezina trophy for our guy. That is more or less expected. Quick look at the playoff tree here. Fortunately, the Panthers fell in 7 games to the Toronto Maple Leafs in the second round of the playoffs. So now let's go and take a look at our players' individual stats on the season. Once again, go to the contracts, go to the goaltenders, 1 consistency. How did you do? I can already tell his numbers look pretty good. 64, 14, and 4, 10 shutouts, a 9.22 save, and a 2.36 goals against average. That is definitely the lowest we've seen as of yet. Playoff numbers, 7, 4, and 1, 8.95 save, and a 3.34 goals against average. Definitely not great, but again, it is a very small sample size. One thing I'll say is I think it's going to be pretty hard for the 2 consistency goalie to even kind of match these numbers that the 1 consistency goalie's been putting up. It's just those numbers have been very, very elite up to this point. We'll take a look at all the consolidated numbers in just a little bit, but let's get the next 2 seasons of simulation done first. I'll restart everything and meet back with you guys when that is done. Alright, so the final 2 seasons of simulation we'll be doing for this video. You can see everything here, once again, will remain exactly the same from the previous 4. Chemistry, everything. Trying to take that factor and the variables out of it. Only thing we'll be changing is 1 consistency will be swapped with 2 consistency. So again, all 99 overall. Unfortunately, can't show the consistency stat here. But I'll go sim up the next season and then meet back with you guys at the NHL entry draft. Alright, so back at the NHL entry draft, first of 2 seasons is now complete with our last goaltender. Panthers again had a very, very solid record, putting up 59 wins on the season, 20 losses, 3 overtime losses, good for 121 points, 3.76 goals for per game, while allowing 2.26 goals against per game. Those are very, very low goals against per game numbers, and the better goalie, it seems to be matching up to that, so taking a look here again, I expect another Vezina, another Jennings, more or less expected with those incredible numbers. Playoff tree here if you guys were curious. Once again, a second round exit to the Leafs in 7 games. So there is a quick look at the playoff tree if you guys were interested. Let's go and take a look at the contracts and break down these numbers once again. So I'm assuming these will be even better than the last goalies. I'm actually very surprised they seem to be on the up here. So looking at everything, 59, 20, and 3, 11 shutouts on the season, 9.27 save percentage, and a 2.21 goals against average. That's crazy low. I know he is 99 overall and has a good team in front of him, but wow. In the playoffs, he went 7, 4, and 2, 1 shutout, 9.04 save, and a 2.89 goals against average. So the playoffs do seem to be pretty hit or miss, I'll give you that. But when it comes to regular season play, there definitely seems to be somewhat of a connection here between the consistency stat and the goaltender. So there's only one more thing to do, 1 more season to simulate. I'll meet back with you guys once again at the NHL entry draft. So there we go, the 6th and final season of the sim is done for this video. Panthers had a good run of it again. 61, 19, and 2 on the season, good for 124 points as a team. Just absolutely incredible numbers there once again, as we more or less expect. 3.61 goals for, 2.28 goals against average. This is very similar to the first season. Again, I'm expecting another Vezina, another Jennings, everything like that. There you go. Also on the Calder, interesting. Goalies don't normally win that in this game, so very interesting to see that. In the playoffs, unfortunately dropped to the Colorado Avalanche in the finals. So we went all the way there, just could not beat the Avalanche, unfortunately. And then going to the contracts here, taking a look at the final stats for the second season here. The 2 consistency goalie, Obviously a record of 61, 19, and 2, just like the team. 8 shutouts on the year, 927 save percentage, and a 2.22 goals against average. Insane numbers. There definitely seems to be a correlation between the consistency stat and numbers. Playoffs went 15-11, 2 shutouts, 911 save percentage, and a 295 goals against. So in the playoffs, it doesn't seem to really have that much of an impact, but regular season play, I'm definitely seeing numbers here that definitely do tend to lean toward that direction. So let me go put everything together in a graphic here with you guys. I'll consolidate the numbers through the 2 seasons, and then we'll break everything down here and conclude today's video. Alright, so I've just consolidated all the numbers from today's sim, and here are the results. The 0 out of 2 consistency goalie put up a record of 102, 47, and 15. He had a 9-1 save percentage and a 2.64 goals against average. The 1 out of 2 consistency goalie put up a record of 120, 37, and 7 with a 919 save percentage and a 2.42 goals against average. And then lastly, the 2 out of 2 consistency goalie put up a record of 120, 39, and 5 and had a 927 save percentage and a 2.22 goals against average. And this is just including the regular season numbers. I didn't factor the playoffs into anything here because I think that would have swayed some of the numbers here a little bit. So this is totally just based off the regular season numbers. So there definitely does seem to be somewhat of a connection between the stat, which is good. It seems like, at least when we did the poise, it really didn't matter at all when it came to goaltending. So here's a stat that you can look at, and maybe next year when I actually am doing rosters and all that stuff, the top goalies in the league will get that 2 out of 2 consistency, and it'll actually let them simulate better in the long run. Again, something I'm probably going to do a little bit more testing myself just offline, and then yeah, we'll see. Maybe it's something I can implement into the roster build next year, but it is good to know that there does seem to be somewhat of a connection with these goalies playing better. But I think that is going to do it for today's video, testing the consistency stat in goaltending. Definitely let me know if there's any other tests you guys want to see me do in this game. I'll be doing them all the way throughout the summer into NHL 25. Find out a lot of cool stuff in all these tests and all that, so definitely down to continue doing them. So definitely leave that in the comments down below, and I will see you all in the next video.